Hi everyone, this is Kelly from The Truth in Story, and today I'm here to look at the mass market edition of The Wild Unknown. Now, anybody who has followed my channel probably knows that The Wild Unknown is one of my top decks. It's certainly one of my most used decks, and it's definitely in my top 4 just in terms of decks that I use and return to time and time again. My history with The Wild Unknown is a little bit, it was a winding path to this top 4 status. So I had originally, so these are all 3 editions. This is the first edition, the second edition, and then this is the mass market edition that just came out. Now I should have found this already, but I'm going to quickly find it for you. You know what? I think it should be down here because Patrick and I had an intense numerology session last night. This is the card that made me want to buy this deck. So I had seen this deck as well as the Wooden Tarot, which is also a nature animal based deck. And I saw this image and I knew I had to have it because it made me think of my son. So this was, this would have been in the first year after he passed. And so I saw this and I thought, I have to have this deck. It looks like a deck that he would want to draw. It looks like a deck that, you know, just reflected his sketching, and it just spoke to me. And he was such an animal lover. And so I had to have it. And so I hunted it down, drove about 45 minutes away and found a copy of the deck and bought it. And about 3 days later, I resold it. Because it just hit me really hard. I couldn't work with it. Emotionally, it was too soon and it hit me in a really hard space and I just pushed it away. And I sold it literally within, I think I put it up on eBay and sold it within the first 3 days. Even though I absolutely loved the images, I couldn't deal with it. I couldn't work with it and I sold it. And I thought, okay, that's just it. You know, not all decks are for us to work from. And, I just accepted that, and it really didn't bother me. I thought about it now and then because of course you saw the images all over, but I just said, you know, that's simply not a deck for me in my emotional space. Then about that, what I think was early, I'm not sure when that was, and then last fall, Patrick from In the 78 Cards, who you've seen, I've done some videos with him, and probably some of you have seen his channel. I'll put a link to it below. He sent me I didn't know him at all. He had found my channel and felt really connected to Michael's story and things of that nature, and his only main deck was The Wild Unknown, and he also sent me this and The Wild Unknown. I had drawn a beautiful card. Whether or not he should do that or not, he had kind of asked the cards, and he had drawn a gorgeous card. I pulled it back out. Yes, it was the 5 of Cups. So he had, which is of course about loss and mourning and such as that, because he really again resonated with Michael's story and my experience with losing him and the grieving process, and he really resonated with that. And so when he was working with this Hegenbronite, I always say it wrong, it's Alfred, at the same time, which he had purchased and never really felt what he had bought for himself. And so he had drawn this card and felt very strongly that this would be a deck that would be about healing for me, because he wasn't sure. He felt a little uncomfortable just randomly sending a deck to somebody. He'd never done anything like that. So he sent it to me. And so these 2 cards are obviously very representative of my journey with The Wild Unknown. Now, since then, so he sent me this first edition version of the deck. And it became a very powerful reader for me. I've had some of my most strong, I have a very dear friend of mine, and when I did a reading for her, before I really knew her all that well, I had just an amazingly powerful experience with a reading for her that brought me to tears. I mean, it literally made me cry. And I've had many experiences like that with this deck. There's just something about it that is extremely powerful, that's stripping away of humanity from it in some degrees. There is still some with, swords and things like that, so there has to be some human connection there because of cups and swords and things, but visually, there's no human beings in there. And the father, mother, daughter, son aspect, it's just an extremely powerful deck, especially in the realm of healing and such. So that was the first deck, right? So that was, I love this deck. Used it. The only thing I didn't like about this deck is that I am a rifle shuffler, and this cardstock is so amazing, and so it feels just divine, but it doesn't rifle shuffle easily. And so someone had messaged me saying that they had the second edition, and would you like to trade it? So I ended up trading a deck for the second. I was like, yes, because I'd heard that the second edition had a little bit thinner cardstock, and you can see that they changed the backing, and I'm going to go pull them all out to compare it, but the backing was changed and some of the cards were changed. I have videos, full walkthrough of the original as well as a look at the second edition, which I will try to remember to link below. So but there is just a slight thinness to the cardstock, and I've also blackened the edges because it was the second edition. I have my first edition intact, so I grade blacked the edges, which I absolutely love. And this does shuffle easier than the first edition, and I've been using this since I got the second edition. I use this for myself, and I will never get rid of this first edition. It is my baby, and I love it. But in terms of usage, I've been using it since I received this in a trade, and it's lovely because, again, it does shuffle easier. So when I heard that they, of course I've known that they were doing a mass market version, but I thought, I have the first and the second edition. What do I need this for? And I don't, but it was on Amazon for $23, and I thought, these were both I traded for this one, and obviously this was gifted to me, but these are, I think, originally maybe $40 decks. And what's this going to be? It's going to be, but, and here's the big but. I'm a rifle shuffler. I love thin cardstock, as well as my daughter really likes it. So I thought, what? I can pick this up if I like the shuffleability, and I think it may be slightly smaller. That's the big question. I'm excited to find out, which helps me on my reading table. Then I can give her like my second edition to be able to use. So that was my rationale. And you know what? I don't really even need a rationale. I'm a box checker. So if I have two of something and there's one other one, I'm most likely going to get it because I'm a box checker. Let's just be honest. So I'm going to slide these to the side for a moment and slide these over here. And let's take a look at this box. So I've seen this. I've seen people's unboxing this. They did an amazing job with mass market. And again, I paid, I know originally it's not $23, but I did pay $23 for it, which considering the packaging is insane. And I will be using this box for something. I'm not sure what, but I will be using it. So it has like a paper sleeve. I won't be keeping this. I'm not a collector in that sense. I think it's lovely. This is by Harper Elixir, and it's lovely, but it's not something I would keep. Now I may cut this off and use it for something artistic-wise or journal-wise, but here is the beautiful box, and I am a huge sucker for magnetic flapped boxes. So, and it even has a little like arrow here saying, and look at the back has the beautiful 4 elements on it. I mean, it's just, for me, the Wild Unknown and the Fountain Tarot just can't be beat in terms of gorgeous packaging. So there you have Kim Krantz, the artist, Harper Elixir, the Wild Unknown Tarot. I mean, how beautiful would that look just in your, but you don't even need to when you see what's inside. So here we have beautiful flip magnetic box. On the inside it says, "May you always be on the inner quest." And then here we have the guidebook. I do have the guidebook, which I will pull out and we'll look at those. From what I understand, it's quite similar, except for I think some more spreads. But we'll take a look at that in a minute. It's kind of like that partial soft, it's not soft cover, but it's not hard cover. It's like a partial in-between type. I don't know how you would describe that, but it's not quite a soft, it's like a reinforced soft cover maybe. Beautifully done, beautifully packaged. I will compare that out in just a minute, so I'm going to set that to the side. And then we have, of course, everything has ribbons to help you get the box out, although, there we go. I'm hoping, yeah, so this then, I'm going to figure out a way to get out, but I won't yet. I think this should just come out. Yeah, I'll be able to get that out because this is an amazing box to be able to use for something. Yeah, because look, it doesn't really, on the front, I mean, it says on the back, but how gorgeous is that? Like, that could hold some things. I don't know. I'll be doing something with it because it's wonderful. So that's the outer box. So now we're going to put that aside. So then here is the box. So you can see it is very similar to the second edition, except for that it is not as thick because these are thinner cards. It does not I love this box actually because it does not have this. I do not like. The first edition does not have that, and this I never liked. I feel like that just looks blah. Don't like it. So they've removed that from the box, which I love, and the back is just simply, it's not showing any of that. It's just so gorgeous. Like, I love, 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 love this box. So there we have the first, second, and third editions of The Wild Unknown. Now this is a slightly thinner, narrower box, or less deep box than the first edition, because this is slightly thicker cardstock than this, and then you can see this steps on it down yet again, and so I believe this is going to show a step down in the thinner cardstock, which as a rifle shuffler is something I'm actually looking for. Now height wise though, it looks the same. I was hoping these might be smaller, but I'm not thinking that's going to be the case. So we shall now see. So that's first edition, second edition, third edition. We have the ribbon as always to be able to pull it out of its box. We have beautiful infinity sign at the bottom. Let's take a look. Does not have this paper, which I do quite like, especially the second editions. So the second edition has the elements here. I'm gonna get things mixed up, aren't I? Let's do this. And the first edition also has one of the cards in the bottom of the boxes. Let's pull that to the middle here. First edition has like almost a hand feel to this, whereas this is typed out. I quite like this version of the second edition. The third edition does not have, okay, I'm getting things mixed up. Here we go. The third edition does not have that paper pamphlet there, but it comes with the guidebook, right? This has kind of got, looks like it's notched, like it got scraped. Oh, that came off. There we go. Good. So here we have that. So you can see the bottoms change. Classy, gorgeous. All three of them are really gorgeous. Okay, so here's the big question. Size-wise, and they still feel amazing. Okay. Nope. Size-wise, they are the exact same size as the second edition. Exact same size. I was hoping they'd be a little smaller. Same exact size, but you can definitely feel, but it's not like, you can definitely feel these are thinner. These are going to shuffle wonderfully. But this is already shuffles a lot better than, for me, than the first edition. So here we have the first, second, and third editions. Definitely can feel a flexibility with this third edition here. But in terms of card size, it's the same. Okay, so here we'll go ahead and put the boxes away. And we'll put this away. So that's the first edition. This is the second edition. And here we have the third edition box. Again, nice sturdy box. I really love it actually, just for cleanness. It's just gorgeous. Oh, we didn't talk about that. So this I think all three, let me see. Yep, all three, I think, have the Welcome to the Wild Unknown Tarot. You'll find no wrongs or rights inside this box. Only mirrors for reflection. Open your mind, draw a card, and have fun on your journey. So that is in all three. The second edition and the third edition are the same exact graphic. I quite do really love the first edition. Way that kind of markings and drawings and sketchings go all the way in. I quite love the first edition box. But they all say that on the inside. I know I'm just so excited. I should be more organized, but I'm not. Okay, so this is second edition because it has the UPC on the bottom. So that helps, right? And so then there's the third edition box, which is, I will say, a little wobbly. It comes on and off a lot easier, but you can't shake these off. These have a nice feeling of that thunk, and then it slips out. There's a luxuriousness to the first and second that is definitely not here. It's a more wobbly box. Makes it easier to get in and out of it, but it's definitely not quite as snug as the first two. So, but the real key is, so here, we're gonna pull some comparisons, see if the color, in a way, I feel like it's slightly more vibrant. Let me find. I've got my cards all whopper-jawed now, which will drive me nuts. One important difference is that, well, let me find the Ace of Wands. I love this one. I'd like to compare that one as well. Why are my cards all whopper-jawed? Is one of the changing cards, but I have videos on that, so I'm not going to go through all of that. Okay, I really want the Ace of Wands, the Ace of Wands. I love that card. I love so many of these cards. There's only 2 cards in this whole deck that I don't like. This is going to be a tattoo on me. Modified, but okay, so here's the Ace of Wands. Okay, second edition, which I can tell because I have black in the sides. Now, let me find. Oh, here's this one also. I'm going to compare that one also, I think. Here's the Ace of Wands. Okay. Okay, so here are the 3 Ace of Wands. I'm going to zoom in. Now, on the, let's see, this is the first edition. You can see that we have a copyright, but if you could see it close enough, you would see it's kind of that handwritten font. That changed in the second edition to more of a typed font. And in the third edition, that is completely gone, which I quite love. I think that's really beautiful that they have removed that, and that makes me very happy. So, that is, but coloration wise, I don't see anything. I feel like these two are slightly more vibrant in the middle than the first edition. There wasn't in the first and second edition, I think, a change in the blacks being darker and some of the colors being more vibrant. Now you can see that also. Let me pull out this one. Let me put this back where it belongs. This belongs on there. And yeah, you can see it on this one as well. Let me make sure you can see it. And I don't know if this is showing up in camera. It is not a strong comparison or strong difference, but there is a slight, this is the original second and third. There is a slight more vivid coloration when you move to the second edition, and the blacks go to a deeper black, And if anything, it's possible that the blacks are even blacker, and the cardstock, I believe, is even slightly more white. Yes, for sure. So there is a brighter white cardstock on the third edition that you don't, these are white, but there is a slight creaminess to it. It's not cream, but it's a slight creaminess, and whereas the third edition is a bright white, which of course makes the colors pop and the black pop even further. Okay, let me make sure I put these back first, second, third. Now here is again, here's 3 more of these so we can see the pop. I think you can, again, there was a slightly brighter coloration moving to the second edition and a darker in the blacks. And then again, it pops just a little bit more in the third edition because of that bright white cardstock. Now I did want to show, I'm not going to go through all of the changes because I've already done that, but I did want to show 2 of the ones, one that I like better in the first and one that I like better. So there's one. Let me find. You can definitely feel the thinner cardstock, which I quite love. You know, I am in love with the thinner cardstock. In general, I'm much of a fan of thinner cardstock. So this is one change from the first edition to the second edition. It goes from this for the 7 of Cups to this, which I quite like. I still like this one, but I say I probably much prefer this one. Not much. I do prefer this one, and you can see it's the same. You can see though along the line of the watercolor where that gets brighter and more rich because I think simply because of the white cardstock. So this was a change from the first to the second, and then of course the bright cardstock of the third. The other change, I'm making sure I put them in the right order, that I actually prefer the original. This was the original Temperance, the second edition, and of course we have the third edition now saying the same. I love this. I love that everything is black and white, but the mixing of the fire and water. To me, this is perfection. This is fine and lovely, but this is perfect. You can also see where some of the lines come outside of the framing on the first edition. You don't see that with the second or third. I quite like that. But again, I don't mind this and I don't mind working with it, but I really love the first edition shift. And between these two, again, you can just see a little slight bit of brightening colors because it's on bright white cardstock. So there we have that. So let's pull these. So let me pull back out. You can definitely feel that I'm really excited to give it a shuffle here. Again, I'm not going to go through all of these. I have, oops, my phone, because I keep sending Patrick pictures. He's waiting on his to come. He's quite annoyed because his shop, who sells Wild Unknown, is in wife's shop. They ordered it back when they could first order it, and they still have not gotten it yet. So they're supposed to be getting it today. Got somehow stuck at UPS. So he's a little frustrated. I'm not going to show all of these. I'm sure all of you have seen the Wild Unknown. It's a stunning deck. Again, I have walkthroughs. I'll stick in the description box below. And they also have an Oracle deck that I'm massively in love with. There are only 2 cards that I don't like in this deck. I don't really, doesn't gel. I don't like the 10 of Swords, which many people don't, but I learned to work with it. Most 10 of Swords has a dead human being laying on it. This has an animal, obviously a matador has probably, this has been in a bullfight of some sort. And so that is quite a disturbing 10 of Swords. Again, 10 swords in the back of a human being with blood everywhere is also disturbing, but there's something extra. But I can work with it. That I don't mind because it's the night, you think about the nightmares and exaggerated fears. The other one that I don't particularly like, and this is just a personal preference, is the Eight of Cups. I've never seen the Eight of Cups broken in a deck. Usually they're all lined up and they're fine. It's a moving away, but not because things are shattered, but because it's just time to move on. So I don't like the shattered cups here. Those are my only really two. I'm not too fond of the rats and the Four of Cups, but I can work with it. And I can work with all of them, but I do have to say, ignore the broken cups, right? I love, one of my favorites. So it's just a wonderful deck. I cannot recommend it more highly. Okay, let's give it a oh yeah. This is a rifle shuffler's dream. Yeah, this is such an easy, I do like the second edition. Second edition is much easier than the first edition. But it's still, you can definitely, there's still more, the second edition is really beautiful cardstock. So that's the second edition. First edition, I always kind of hurt my hands. Yeah, you can't hardly bend it. And I can still shuffle it, but I kind of would cringe knowing I was going to have to shuffle it. And so I do much prefer the, this is wonderful. In terms of a rifle shuffler, this is wonderful. It's definitely thinner, no question, which may be not good for some people. But again, these edges will also be getting blackened. So yeah, there you have it. Thinner cardstock, but still has that nice matte feel to it. The cardstock actually still feels really lovely, but it's definitely thinner. And brighter. Definitely the bright white stands out because I use this deck a lot. So you can definitely see the change between the first and second edition. I'm disappointed that it's not smaller. I really was hoping that this would be smaller, and I'm tempted to trim this one all the way down because I have two other versions. But I also do like the white border on it, so I probably won't. I was really hoping this would be a little bit smaller. But, I mean, this isn't a bad size deck anyways. I can still easily do my standard, you know, large layout, large tarot, you know, reading layout, and it fits in my view space quite well. So it's not that this is a bad size. It's actually a really good size. I was just hoping for it to be slightly smaller. But there you have it. So let's take a look at the guidebook real quick. So I'm trying to, you know what I'm going to do is I'm going to put these back where they belong. It's too bad about that. The little sheet I think is really nice. Even if you have the guidebook, I do think that those little sheets are quite nice. It's too bad that wasn't put in there for people. It's not necessary, but it would have been nice to have still had that there. Okay, so here's the guidebook. Let me get the other guidebook. Okay, so here are the two guidebooks, both written and illustrated by Kim Krantz. This is slightly smaller than the new one. Page-wise, still slightly smaller, but this of course has an overlap because it has this lovely cover on it, although I'm actually a soft cover fan. This is not even what I would consider... Oh my goodness, obnoxious motorcycles. And I like motorcycles, but that's obnoxious. So, you know, you have kind of the white front page, whereas on this new one, you have that sort of pattern of the back, which is really sharp. We've, of course, got the guidebook. Let's see, is there... It says, for Arjun, my forever chariot. And this has, for Johnny, my forever chariot. Okay, so here's the table of contents. Let's see if anything's changed. Drawing the tarot, understanding the deck, major, minor, and our court cards. Now I like this if she stuck them together, because I personally don't like court cards being separated off. If I'm trying to find something, I don't want to search in another section. Yes, so they have put all of the thing up through the 10, then the daughter, the son, the mother, and the father. I quite like that because I'm not a fan of separating the court cards out, so they've changed that. Getting a reading, we have getting readings, we have a question or what to ask, shuffling, cutting, spreads. So let's see, we have spread, card of the day, past, present, future, Celtic cross. So let's see what spreads are here. 26. Okay, so here is a card of the day. Let me go to the spreads, 23. So here we have a card of the day. It definitely looks like the text has changed a little bit. Just in tweaking. This is a great way to start your day and familiar yourself. A single card reading is a great way. So a little bit of tweaking. Still has a kind of hand printed font. It's made smaller. So you have a lot more white space in this one. So I don't think there's a whole lot more text. It's just used a smaller font, which I prefer a larger font because I can't see. So then we have a past, present, and future with a couple other options here. That's about the same. Here we have another one that's not in here called the Clarity Spread, which I do quite like this. I think this is on their website. So this is overall situation and the contributing factors. I don't think that's in here at all. Nope. So this is an extra spread. Here we have the connection spread, which I quite like as well. I think this is also on their website. You have you, your challenge, 3 is the other person and their challenge, and 5 is the uniting force, so sort of a relationship, a look between connections and dynamics between two people. That's not in the first edition. And then we have the Celtic cross, which we also have in the first edition book. This also includes a year ahead spread, which is 13 cards, starting with just January, February, March, all the way through, the 13th being the theme of the year. So we have that there, and then it goes into reverse cards and last thoughts. So that's about the same there. Let me go back to the... So definitely some extra spreads here. Let's see, then it goes into the Wild Unknown, Wands, Cups, Swords, Pentacles, and then the Major Arcana last. So that is the same. So let's just take a peek at, let's say, where's the Major? And this deck, this has the black breakings for what's going on. You see that as well in this, which I quite love. Right, so you have this gorgeous, it's just classy. I mean, everything that they do is so beautiful. Here is the Major Arcana. So I think it was a moon in this one as well. Yep. And so I think the text has all stayed the same. The Fool is ready to fly. His young wings ache for flight. And with a single step, yes, already begun. Yep, so that has all stayed the same. You have the image on one side and the text on the other, as well as 2 keywords, and that's all the same. So of course that goes through the Major Arcana, and then wraps it up with the World, and then of course you've got this beautiful design of the backings of the cards here. So this is quite lovely because again it does have some extra card spreads, but other than that it's the same book. I do like that they have changed putting the court cards within their suits. That makes me quite happy. It feels nice. It actually opens up once you get it kind of opened up, and it opens up easier than this one does, which doesn't ever, of course I haven't, and I usually crack my spines, but I don't. This is definitely opens nicer. So there you have the guidebook comparison. Quite, not enough to be like a major difference. You can find, they have spreads and these extra spreads on their website. So I mean, if you have this first one and you don't, obviously want a secondary one, it's nothing that's going to make you run out and say, I have to have it because of the guidebook, because it is quite similar. It's just really beautifully packaged. Now, of course, this one is nice because if you have the Animal Spirits guidebook, which I need to get, then those two are, I think, the exact same size and they sort of match up. But that's neither here nor there. So that is a quick look at the comparison between the guidebooks. and there wasn't a difference. This was the only guidebook. The first edition and second edition both used the same guidebook, so there wasn't a change there. So this would be the change with the third edition. So there you have it. I just wanted to do, well, let's do a quick reading with it. Let's go ahead and do a reading. Let's do one of the spreads that are new. We don't want to do connections. Let's do the clarity spread. So that's one of theirs that I quite like. So let me put this over here. So we're going to give it a good shuffle here. So let's see, this is going to have an overall situation and contributing factors. So what overall situation shall we look at? The overall situation is moving forward. I need to kind of get reorganized, and I need to get re-tapped into my filling my bucket and then my artistic, which is very important to me, that sort of fire energy here. So I'm going to pull a reading, a card about my getting back to filling my bucket. So here we have the world. Yes, it's important. It encompasses my world. It is very important for me to fill my bucket. I quite like that, right? And so then we pulled the next three cards. We have the Strength card. Oops. The Five of Swords card. So yes, it brings me strength when things are difficult, when things get chaotic, when things get difficult, and it helps to bring about balance for me. So yeah, no question there. Thank you, Wild Unknown. Always so good at telling us what we ought to already know, right, and making it very clear. So there we have a quick look. Again, I'm not going to go through all the cards. I'll put links below. I just wanted you to see there's some people who want to see the difference between the decks, and so that's what we have. I hope that you've enjoyed this, and if you've been waiting for the Wild Unknown, or you missed out on the Wild Unknown before with the first, I know that there you can still get the second edition, because some people might say, well, I want a little bit nicer card stock. It is definitely, the second edition is definitely a little nicer card stock. If I know that you can still sometimes find that in shops. I don't know if on their website. You could for a while on their website. But I think Patrick still has 4 or 5 copies of it in his shop. So I think like other shops you might be able to still find the second edition, but those obviously are going quite quickly. If you prefer, if you want this deck and you prefer, I would start looking. They for a little while sold them on the Wild Unknown website, but I don't know if those are still available or not. So there you have it. This is the 3rd edition, aka the mass market Harper Elixir version of the Wild Unknown.